So I guess why I'm here these days is to construct a mushroom grow operation for group growing. It's the first mushroom farm of many that will be constructed for various different communities, the people of those communities. And yeah, the idea behind that is to at least get the agricultural tax exemption for Bill Henry for this land.
By getting up to $10,000?
Yeah, for getting at least 10 grand in sales and receipts for it a year, and while also using those funds to kind of start more farms for more communities. And if everything's done right, each farm should be able to start like 3 more farms within a year or 2. So it should be able to myceliate out and grow as an organic network. Then the end goal is to facilitate economic transactions within those communities and kind of support a society of traveling gardeners, perhaps even with a currency of sorts.
I mentioned this briefly before. The key thing about what we find about income sharing is that when a group decides that it's going to be income sharing, when it takes all of the activity and it pools its money and then says, using this money we're going to meet the needs of the group, then sharing everything else is easier. Sharing cars, sharing clothes, sharing, joint health insurance, things like whatever it is that you're trying to do. After you've gotten to the fairly high level of trust that it takes to say, okay, I'm not just on this in my own, I've got like this sort of extended family and they're going to take care of me. That seems really super scary. At the point at which you get over that, everything else is simple. Yeah, all of the needs that you have, all of the experiments that you want to try, you come at it from a different place.
I guess my mind wanted to know like the logistical manner, like what percentage of gross income, or is it all percentage, or? Different
places do different things.
Okay.
Different places, and we don't have, there are lots of things that we can suggest to you, but generally speaking,
I have a lot of basic ideas.
There isn't a vanilla contract that we give you.
Oh, that's
but there are a bunch of guidelines that are super useful. So.
That's great.
Yeah. We expect people to roll their own based on the culture and the needs of the folks.
And one of the things I'm very clear about saying to people is that the way that's done at Twin Oaks Honeycomb, which is really cool, and they run it and it's been working very well at Twin Oaks for almost 50 years, is not the only way to do it.
Yeah.
It's like there's a ton of different ways. And I did this community up in Cambridge, Massachusetts, where there were 3 of us doing it, and we all worked outside jobs. We just threw all our money in one pool and then drew from that. That's one way of doing it. You can have cottage industry, and that's another way of doing it. There's a whole bunch of different ways of doing it.
You don't have to have cottage industries to be income sharing. Very important piece. And what he's talking about is what we call the box of money solution. There are a number, particularly in Europe, of box of money communities where there's a box and there's money in it. And when you need it, you take the money out. And in some of them you have to return receipts, and in others not. And people say, my God, don't you get robbed? And it turns out that if your trust culture is good enough, you don't get robbed.
Pat, you've mentioned trust so many times, and if you really knew me, you would know that I'm all about trust too. And I feel like, how do you start from scratch with trust in a community that there's been so many violations of trust? And how do you start building? I know like those transparency tools and empathizing are a big way.
Well, but I want to go to the pointy one, and it's the one that I don't usually demo in the small groups because it is the sharpest tool. It has the capacity to do the most work, and it's also the one that the facilitator needs to be the most important of, because it can piss people off and hurt people. Which is the withholds and unsets, right? Like you're saying, I hear you saying, I have a story about you, and my story about you is that there are people in this room who you feel a bit jerked around by, and your trust is banged up, and you have withholds for those people that are not yet expressed. And so when you do the transparency tools, or when you do it one-on-one in a clearness with somebody, it's like you need to get to a place in which you feel like, these things that I'm upset about, You've heard them. Like, we've been over this. Like, it's not just inside of me that I feel like I wish you had done something different, or this thing went down in this awful, funky way. It's like, I'm expressed about it. Like, the foundation for building trust is to get it off your chest. Yeah, and that's why the tools are so powerful, is because they give you vehicles to get it off your chest. Until you get it off your chest, you're stuck in your trust building. It's like, he's going to do this to me again. Like, he did this to me before. I haven't talked with him about it. He's going to do it to me again. I don't trust him. Now, when I talk with you about it, he can say, dude, you don't know this piece of it. Or, you're right, and I'm committed to not doing that again. Or, you're right, and I can't promise you that I'm not going to do it again, and I need your help to make sure that I don't do it again. Or, you're wrong, and this is the thing you don't know. Yeah? That's, and I want to emphasize again, this is the piece about transparency being different from therapy, right? But we're not trying to fix each other. The assumption is if we just show each other where we're at, the gravity is towards fixing each other. Not like I have to have some super clever question in which I get into your psyche about, oh, you were beat up by your mother, and that's why, that's not what it's about. It's about getting people to show where they already are, and that helps them get to where it is that they want to go.